Hey, this is Steve of the Australian dark progressive melodic death metal band BELAKOR, and you are listening to The Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Steve, I want to thank you very much for taking time out for this interview, and I want to welcome you to the Metal Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Steve, to start this interview, your new records, Coherence, will be premiered worldwide this October 29th, 2021. What can the fans expect from this new release?
It's basically a continuation of our sound with some new ideas. Like, I think a BELAKOR fan who knows our music will enjoy the album, we hope, find some things that are familiar to them, but also maybe some slightly new ideas, some slightly more progressive elements in places, but it's still a melodic death metal album, essentially.
Okay, especially for new fans. BELAKOR, yes, a dark progressive melodic death metal band formed in Melbourne, has quickly come to be regarded as one of Australia's most promising and creative metal acts, with very consistent lineup with you, Steve Murray on keyboards, piano, George Cosmas on rhythm guitar, vocals, Sean Skies on lead guitar, and John Richardson on bass, and not to forget Elliot Sampson, who has replaced Jimmy van der Broek on drums. He joined the band in 2016. A very solid lineup, I must say. Steve, what is this chemistry for keeping this great connection among each other for so long?
Good question. I think it's because a few of us were friends before we started the band. We knew each other in high school, and that helps. I mean, basically the band is my friendship group. And so even when there's some problem with the music or someone can't do a show, or the band is not like the business where you say, well, you're sacked because you couldn't do this. It's actually just my friend can't do this. It's a friendship group. So I think that helps us to work through any issues that come up or work our way through problems. So it's been about not quite 20 years. I think 2004, 2005. So let's say 17 years or so. So it's good, and we're still good friends, which keeps everything working.
Okay, how did you got Elliot Sampson on board to replace Jimmy?
Well, actually, Elliot had been a fan of the band, and he'd come to shows, and we always knew him. He was always on like MySpace and social media, like talking about the band, and he would come to shows. So he obviously started drumming, became a really good drummer. And then when Jimmy moved out of the band, Elliot was a pretty logical choice for us because we knew that he liked the music, knew the music, was a good drummer, and we got on with him already. So it was a pretty easy transition for us.
Awesome. I believe one question that everybody is waiting for. BELAKOR, yeah. The Dark Master, the first demon princess of chaos. This has to do with the band name?
Well, a little bit, but not really. I think that in 2004-ish, two of the guys in the band played Warhammer, and obviously BELAKOR is a character from Warhammer. And so I remember this day I was at George's house, and we were talking about band names, and the idea was suggested, what about BELAKOR? And we all thought it was a really nice word. Like, it's a word that looks interesting, sounds nice. It's not like a typical band name. So we picked the word as the band name. And then probably a couple of years after that, I think the guys stopped playing Warhammer. And yeah, so it's been a long time. We haven't really played Warhammer in years, and I've never played the game. But obviously the band name is occasionally associated still with that game, with Warhammer, but it's not really inspiring us to write. It doesn't come into our thinking when we're making lyrics or whatever. It's sort of unrelated to that.
Just a name, okay.
Just a name. I mean, they did used to play the game, and I think they rate the game as a good thing, but yeah, we've not played it in a long time.
I believe it's still kind of difficult name to pronounce for those that don't know the band.
It is. Look, with hindsight, maybe we should have picked a different name. Yeah, I hear people call it BELAKOR or BELAKOR, and I don't blame them, because if you're just seeing the word, it is not clear probably how to say it. I guess when we started, we thought, that's a nice sort of thing to have a slightly original name that is a bit different, but maybe it's caused us some challenges as well.
Okay, the band's international reputation has grown rapidly since the release of the band's 2007 debut, The Frail Tide, and its follow-up in 2009, Stone's Reach. A group profile began to expand, so did the band's concert schedule, including supporting tours with Teresa's Hailstorm, to mention some, and a prime slot at Germany Summer Breeze Open Air in 2010. By the way, besides this great slot you guys had at this great festival in Dinkelsbuhl in Germany, Summer Breeze Open Air, I remember seeing you guys there, not at 2010, but in 2012, 2015. And that's not even to say that I did see you guys at Brutal Assault that same year.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, very great festival, I must say. Steve, congratulations. Killer live show, man.
Thank you. That's awesome to hear. It's very cool that you were there. And we were always like, it's so exciting to go to Europe, and we didn't expect to get that opportunity when we started at all. And then in 2010, there was a random request or an email from Summer Breeze, which was really exciting. So we sort of went to Europe really with only one festival to bring us there. Like, we arranged a couple of other little shows locally in small pubs, but we traveled to Germany for one festival show really in 2010. And that was exciting. And I think it went well enough. Like, we played to a smallish crowd, but it was very early in the morning. It was probably like 11 o'clock in the morning, first band of the day nearly. And I think it went well enough that Summer Breeze thought, okay, we're happy to have them come back in 2012. And so, yeah, it's been really great, exciting to do as a band, and we will definitely come back to Europe.
If I'm not wrong, you repeat 2015, but I mean 2019 as well, right?
So we've been to Europe 2010, 2012, and 2015.
You was on the bill for 19. You didn't go?
No, we would love to have gone, but no, we haven't been into Europe for about 5 years now.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't go either, so I don't know which band presented there or not. Yes, I mean, yeah, and by the way, I must say, Dinkelsbuhl is a very pretty town. Yeah, highly recommend to all the metalheads that haven't go there yet. Please visit Summer Breeze and Dinkelsbuhl, yeah.
When we travel there, I would like to just stay there and live in Dinkelsbuhl, I think.
I mean,
I love it.
Bavaria got the best beers around.
Exactly, best beer, wonderful food, very good scenery. It's wonderful.
But yeah, my question is, how was the tours gone, Steve, the promotion that you guys have done promoting these first two albums at all these shows and festivals that you guys been? Yeah,
and I think interestingly, we've toured to Europe when opportunities came to us and became available, rather than touring to support an album. We've never really, because we released the Frail Tide in 2007, Stones Reach in 2009. I suppose that 2010 show was kind of promoting Stones Reach, but the album had been out for more than a year by then, and we played whatever songs we had available. 2012, again, we didn't really think of it as an Of Breath and Bone tour, but I guess it was pretty connected to the timing of that album. But at that stage, we were just happy to play any shows we could, accept any offers we could get for Europe. Yep. And we were very happy to do it. And we didn't have a big label at the time, so there wasn't really a strong promotional...
What I mean, your playlist was concentrating on those two first albums.
That's correct. So we only had the Frail Tide and Stones Reach, and we played, to be honest, I think we played only for half an hour at both festivals, so we had to pick four songs, because we have very long songs. Okay. So we had to choose just a couple of our songs from each album, but it was good fun.
Okay, the band's third album, Of Breath and Bone, dropped June 2012 with an awesome tracks like Avians, Remnants, Upset Omen, The Dreams, and The Waking, followed by another round of high-profile gigs, including shows with no other than At the Gates and Apocalyptica. Wow! How did you guys enjoy that trip with mostly At the Gates? I mean,
well, I have a very bad memory of that show with At the Gates because my keyboard wouldn't work properly. So the show started and I was meant to be playing something at the start of the show and there was nothing working. The sound was just nothing. That was actually quite a stressful show. But once that was fixed, it was a good show. And At the Gates of one of the bands that we really liked when we started. I think when we began as a band, it was At the Gates, Opeth, In Flames, Dark Tranquillity were probably the bands we listened to the most. So to play with them was really exciting. And I think a lot of people have said, that was the first time they saw us. Like some people certainly came across us at that show, which was really good.
I always love all the bands you mentioned, studio albums, very good. Even their live shows are tremendous.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about this third album, Steve, a very great album that you guys have put out, an album that has won Best Melodic Extreme Power Gothenburg. Please explain.
Well, every album we take a long time to make the album. So Breath and Bone took us 3 years and a lot of work. And then when it was released, I think it was the first album we had mixed by a big name, like Jens Bogren mixed Of Breath and Bone.
With Jens Can Go Wrong.
Yeah, he's good. He's very good. he gave the album, I guess, a sound that put it into a category that maybe, elevated it slightly from other albums. And it got really good reviews, and we were really happy with that. So I think the style of that album is similar to a Stone's Reach. It's not that different to Stone's Reach in style, but the production's a bit different. But yeah, we're really excited to win that award with Metal Storm. It was great.
Okay, I didn't know about this type of award.
Yeah, look, it's obviously back then as well. I think the website is still running and is still a great website. But in 2012 or so, it was a very important, probably had a bigger role in metal than it maybe does now because of social media and stuff. But it was a really big deal for us at the time to win that.
Okay, very great. Congratulations. Yes, Steve, to move forward, June 2016 saw the release of the band's fourth full-length album. We talked about Vessels, again, an album that has premiered Caleb Jones, an amber arc, withering strands, whelm, the smoke of many fires, among others, and which album, the first one via Napalm Records. It would be the last, too bad, yes, the last other for drummer Jimmy van der Broek, who left to pursue other musical projects shortly after the band's released this album. Prior to the band's release of Vessel, the band signed to Napalm Records, great Ocean label. How was this gone? And how does it feel to be part of Napalm Records?
It's really cool. Just a little correction as well. That was actually Elliot's first. So Vessels was the first album Elliot drummed on. I think Jimmy left just before Vessels.
I thought that he left, but already has the drumming part done.
No, it was okay. Very much Elliot's first studio recording for us. Working with Napalm is really good, and obviously they have a lot of connections to touring opportunities, which we'll be looking forward to using to get us to America for the first time and get us back to Europe soon. So that's probably the biggest advantage. They have a lot of industry connections and they can help us to keep growing as a band. So very exciting.
Okay, but tell us, Vessel, the band's first concept album. Please explain more about this.
Well, we'd never done anything like that before, and we wanted something to challenge us and be kind of exciting. So the other albums were individual songs that had stories that were not connected to each other. Whereas Vessels, we decided to try writing an album where the entire album was one story. And so that took a lot more thinking, because you have to, normally what we do is you write the songs and then you go and record the songs, and then you can choose what order they're going to appear on the album based on how they sound and how recording's gone. But with Vessels, we really needed to have an order locked in before we even started recording, because the songs tell a story. You can't switch them around. It wouldn't make any sense. So that was quite challenging, and it took us a lot more time. But people have enjoyed it, and we're happy with the way the album turned out. I think since Vessels, the storytelling approach of our music has started to be something people think about more, and we've had some lyric videos, and people sort of think of us as a band that likes to tell stories with our music, which is great.
Okay, awesome. Very great. Yes, since the debut of the band album, The Frail Tide, in 2007, the Australian progressive death metal powerhouse BELAKOR has a huge impact on international metal scene, turning heads with their technical driven yet melodic songwriting. Almost 15 years later, the legendary five-piece returned with the new album Coherence, out October 29 via Napalm Records, providing themselves to be on top of their game with their most ambitious project as yet. The band's second full-length studio album with this great prestige Ocean label, Napalm Records. How is the label supporting the band this time for this new release? Steve?
Well, I think the main way they supported us was being patient with us, because we told them we would try to have the album ready 3 to 4 years after Vessels, and they were happy with that. And then we took longer. Pandemic made us take even longer. So they were very supportive of us by being patient with us and waiting. And that was great. And they've obviously put a little bit of money to help contribute to some of the costs to recording and mixing the album in advance. I think the main thing is they just work with us, they talk with us, and they understand that we maybe don't want to do everything the same way as other bands. Like, we have some things we do a bit differently, or they're very understanding of that. And then obviously now we're working with them to plan some tours. So we would like to make sure we can tour quite well and broadly once we're allowed to with COVID. So they're working with us on that, which is really cool.
Anything that you will receive now that you have not with Vessels? Talking about the label.
I think the budget possibly gets slightly bigger, like the label maybe expands their budget that they're prepared to spend on us as we progress. It partly is a partnership, so it depends how much we will put in as well. So I think if we said to Napalm, we are ready to tour for 7 months full time around the world, they would say, cool, how do we make that happen? And let's work on that together. Depends on what we can offer and give and what they can give to us as a partnership. Obviously, as a band, we actually have jobs and families, and touring to us is something we want to do sometimes when we can, but not all the time. So there's a limit to what we can do, but Napalm's happy to help us however we're able to, I guess, work with them for.
Yes, I really believe that Napalm is one of the best label, major and best label nowadays.
I think they're one of the biggest in terms of they have a lot of bands, they have a lot of staff working for Napalm Records. So we're currently working with probably, there's at least 5 or 10 different staff at Napalm. We're talking to staff in Germany, staff in America. So it's great to have that support, and they're helping us to promote the band, which is much appreciated.
Yeah, and by the way, I'd like to say hi to Natalie and all the staff there at Napalm Records.
Yeah, she's great to work with, and I'm sure she'll be happy to say hello to you and hear that from you.
Okay, to mark the announcement of Coherence, the band shared the video for the new album's first single, Hidden Window, last August 28th, with only a month until the release of Coherence. The second single was premiered, Foothold, which was released on September 28th on YouTube, Spotify, and all other streaming platforms. Please share with us some more about these two singles that the band has picked as the ones to be the promotional singles.
It is always extremely hard to pick what song or what songs to put out first, especially I think when we have like an album that has 8 songs on it. They're all 9 minutes long or 8 minutes long. It's hard, you don't have 15 songs to choose from like maybe a rock band or a pop band would have. So you have to think about what should we put out. So, I mean, the Hidden Window we chose because it had a lot of variety in it. It had some new things for us, but also some very, I guess, traditional BELAKOR riffs in it. It's exciting. It's always hard, but I think it's a nice balance, Hidden Window. Foothold we chose because it has a very energetic beginning, but then it actually has some very progressive experimental parts in it for us. So as 2 singles, I guess they show almost the broad range that Coherence has musically. And then the third single coming up, I think people should really like it. I think it's got that sort of Stone's Reach of Breath and Bone melodic feeling to it. So that one comes out in about, I guess, a bit less than 2 weeks around about the release of the album. So it is a hard choice, but we had to pick something and we went with those ones.
Awesome. Very great. I can't wait to hear this third single. Okay, Steve, can you describe the writing process, how it was handled, especially during these difficult times with this pandemic?
We were a little bit lucky because we wrote the material before the pandemic started, and then the recording was affected quite a lot by the COVID. So I would say 2017, 2018, 2019, we were writing the music, and then we sort of went into the studio in like March of 2020.
Okay, but let's not go over to the recording part yet, but how do you share the writing parts?
Sure. Well, we basically we meet up once or twice every week. George and I tend to write probably 90% of the riffs and the melodies as the starting, like the building blocks. And then we come together as a band at someone's house and sit around in a living room and spend a few hours every week at least trying things like talking about riffs, listening to riffs. Sean's really good with helping us to put it together using like a DAW. John's really good with his sort of suggestions around chords and song structures and connecting riffs in a creative way. Obviously, Elliot is there all the time with input on the drums. So it's very collaborative, and a lot of changes happen where like the last song on the album, Much More Was Lost, we took apart and remade it again because we weren't happy with it, and that took a couple of extra months of work. So there's a lot of kind of democratic discussion about if a riff is good enough to be in the song, and it takes a long time, but we enjoy that. You can't really rush that process, I think. And then in the end, eventually you have an album which can take years to make, but you get there in the end.
Okay, talking about recording, the recording process for the 2015 release Vessels, the recording took place at Legion Studio Production, Melbourne, while the master was done at Sterling Sound in New York. Recording in Melbourne by Troy McCoster, this time mixed and by the legendary again, Jens Bargen and mastered by Tony Lindgren, both worked on at Fascination Studio this time. Coherence, 60 minutes of layered and diverse progressive melodic death metal. How was the band's experience recording with Troy McCosser been? And the final touches done by Jorg Borgen and Tony Lindgren.
Well, it was the first time we had worked with Troy. We knew Troy. We've always known Troy for quite a few years, but he is really good to work with. We're very happy. He was probably, I think he knows gear really well. He knows recording really well. He's recorded a lot of bands. He is extremely efficient, and he was really quick at kind of getting us going. Like, we would arrive and half an hour later we're recording, and it was very smooth. There were no technical problems or anything like that. So Troy was great at sort of making it work for us in a way that was easy and enjoyable. We also spent quite a bit of time at his home studio, got to know his family and his dog, and it was really a nice place to work and make the album. And then, of course, he also was really good at delivering the files to Jens Bogren in a way that made it easy for Jens. I think Troy is very much a professional at file management and just getting everything into a very neat order and saying, here you go, Jens, you can mix the album now. So that was really good. And then Jens, we worried that we kind of annoyed Jens a little bit because we had lots of requests and lots of rounds of mixed notes, and he did a great job for us, and he was patient with us again because we had lots of requests coming his way during mixing. But we knew he would do a great job, and I think the drums sound fantastic on the album. There's a lot of atmosphere. He does a good job at the overall kind of impact. We wanted that impact that the album would have, so very happy with that, with the result.
So, they are a very great team, Troy, Jens, and Tony together.
We also felt very lucky at the end because Tony Lindgren was needed at short notice. We kind of had a slight change or hiccup at the end with mastering. And so Tony stepped into the picture at the end and helped us and responded quickly to our request. And he also had several rounds back and forth with us. But Tony did a great job at the end for us too.
Awesome. Coherence will be available on different platforms. I'm talking about vinyls, I believe, regular CDs, digital downloads. But please explain us about this exclusive hand-numbered Die Hard edition of the album. Will features a metal plate with lyrics and a slip mat and a limited deluxe box. Explain to us for the fans, Steve, what all these things are about.
It's quite a mouthful, isn't it, to say all that? It's a lot of words. So there's 2 special editions of the album.
Before you go further, so you have this Die Hard edition. It's one bundle, and you have this limited deluxe box as another.
That's correct. That's right. So the box is a CD, and it comes in a wooden box, and there's like a flag. I think there's a wristband. There's a guitar pick set. Okay. So it's a collector's set, and there's a really nice coin, like a little collector's coin that says BELAKOR and Coherence and has a picture of the mountain on it. So I think if you like CDs and collector's sets, and that could be cool. And then Napalm also made a gold vinyl, like a Die Hard fan edition of the vinyl. So that has a slip mat with a metal plate, and I think the metal plate has the lyrics of the album etched into it. So it's exciting to have some nice collector's items, I guess, because I don't think we've ever had anything quite like that for our previous albums, where fans can choose their format, get something that they might have as a collector's item as well to remember the album. So interested to see. I've actually ordered one myself, so I'll see when it arrives. It'd be cool to see.
But this silver plate you're talking about, it's going to be distributed throughout the world?
Yeah, through mail order. Yeah, so it's a limited edition. I think it was limited to 500. Mail order through Napalm Records store. And I think it's sold out in Europe. I think it might be nearly sold out in America. I can't quite recall. But yeah, it's basically a limited edition, only in mail order.
Okay. And talking about this album, please explain us who was responsible for the album cover artwork.
So there's an artist called, it's actually a name that's, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but Erizofa. And we discovered the art online. We were doing some searching online and we discovered it. And we wanted something that was a bit abstract, a little bit kind of mysterious, and it suited what we felt was the mood of the album, and it sort of feels a little bit chaotic. So I think we like to pick artwork that, when possible, exists already in the world, so we can have an experience of, that we like that art, that's giving us some sort of an emotion, whereas we find it harder, I think, the creation of something new that may or may not capture the mood we want. So when we discovered this piece of art, we were keen to see if he was happy to let us use it, and he was. So another good, it's always been a long process to find the artwork, but eventually you do find something that usually is the right fit.
Again, this represents a part of the mountain.
It could do. It's abstract, and I think you could look at it that way. I can see that, and sometimes I think it looks a bit like the top looking down on a mountain range, but it doesn't really. Like, it's an abstract piece of art. So it's one of the things we liked about it, is that it could be seen differently by different people.
I guess everybody has different opinion or different fantasy about this cover artwork.
Exactly. So I think even within the band, we all have different views on exactly what it means to us or why. But for me, it also feels the album talks about the mind and trying to make sense of the world and how the mind imposes order on the world. And so the album cover to me looks a bit like the opposite of Coherence in many ways, like it's chaos. So I think I like that aspect as well.
Okay, to go to the last part of this interview, 8 tracks on Coherence display BELAKOR, impressive spectrum of musical abilities, ranging from 12 minutes, a long journey on Much More Was Lost, to the atmospheric fully instrumental sweep of these, a must-have for all BELAKOR fans, this new album. Looking back after 2 years, yes, after 2 years of really devastating times, bands are heading back on the road. What is the band's BELAKOR plans for 2021 and 2022 doing tours and shows?
Well, we're planning to do an Australian tour and then US tour and a European tour. So the question is just exactly when. In Australia, we have a lot of lockdowns and restrictions still. I think they're beginning to open up in about 1 month from now. So I think we'll end up touring next year in Australia, and then we're working with Napalm to plan our first ever US tour and a return to Europe as well, possibly with a headline tour for Europe. So look, very exciting, but it's just a case of waiting for COVID and, some rules to change around the world and vaccinations and safety and those sorts of things as well.
Okay, maybe not for 2022 because, as we know, all the festivals are saturated with because of 2020 and the 2021 cancellations. So 2022 is packed with all these bands that didn't play for the last 2 years. But how about 2023? Do you believe we can see you at Wacken Open Air?
That's actually a dream we have, a goal we have. So you're right, 2022 festivals are very full, and Napalm events have told us that they believe they can certainly get us to some great festivals in 2023 in Europe, whereas 2022 is likely to be very hard because it's extremely competitive. So we're probably looking to book and confirm some places in 2023 for Europe, and Wacken would be a huge achievement for us. It would be like, we've never played Wacken before, but we've told them we would like to, and if they can get us there, we will be very happy.
Hey. So I think if I see Thomas around, we'll be going to Wacken 2022. If I get to meet with Thomas, I'm gonna tell him, make sure you bring BELAKOR to Wacken.
We would be very appreciative, and we'll have to buy you lots of beers if we can see you to say thank you.
But are you planning to return back to Brutal Assault or Summer Breeze, perhaps?
Yeah, I'd love to. They're obviously the two festivals that have supported us as the first festivals we ever played, and both of them are wonderful places to go to. So I would hope that we can play them again.
Yeah, very great festival, especially Brutal Assault. Wow, I highly recommend that festival, man.
It's an amazing place, like in the old fortress grounds. Yeah. Very sort of historic feeling place.
Believe me, Czech Republic is very nice, and the people are very, very, very beautiful people. Nice.
You're correct. We noticed that when we travel there, and the food is cool, the beer is great. So yeah, would love to be there again.
I love the Budweiser there.
Yeah, no shortage of good beer.
But tell me, how is the flight from Australia to Europe? Is it very hard? How long is the flight? You get tired when you reach Europe, or when you back and forth when you reach home?
It is long. It's 7 hours and then a stopover in Singapore.
Okay.
It's usually a 7-hour flight and then another 13 hours. So it's about 20 hours.
Wow.
So it's a very long flight. And usually we find that the flight over there is long, but you feel kind of okay when you get there. And then the flight back hits you with a lot of jet lag, and you notice that one a bit more, I think, on the way back. But yeah, you need to set aside 2 days of travel time, a day each way, just to get to Europe, obviously from Australia. But because we don't do it very often, obviously we're happy to do it.
Sure, I'm sure. Yeah, to end this interview, for those fans that really, really want to lay their hand on, what do you guys have in merch?
We've got a lot of merch actually at the moment. So Napalm's store is selling t-shirts and hoodies. Our own store, we have our own store as well, which is another mail order one based in Australia. But there's we work with an American distributor to help us. And so there's t-shirts, there's beanies, there's wall flags, there's, what else is there? Hoodies. There's a lot of stuff. We've got probably 15 or 20 different t-shirt designs now. So if you're a fan that likes merch, there's lots of options for you.
So you're still talking about t-shirt with the previous release artwork on, but how about the new?
Yeah, we've got a lot of new designs. In fact, we worked with Nicholas Sunden, ex-Dark Tranquillity, to help us design a nice shirt, one of the shirts for the new album. But there's about 5 different designs for the new album. They're all up on they're not up yet. They'll be on our web store soon. But at the moment, the Napalm store is the place to go because it's where all the pre-orders are happening for the album.
Okay, Steve, I will hand you over the microphone of Madam Messiah Radio for you to thank whomever you want to thank.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for making the time to actually talk with me. But yeah, obviously all the listeners of the radio station, big thanks to, Bloodshed with the Vampire, Metal Messiah Radio for giving BELAKOR the time to talk about the new album. And we hope that the fans can enjoy Coherence once it's released.
Yep, and we've been promoting already your first single, and people really go nuts when they hear it.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's good to hear. It's a very good thing to hear.
Anybody else that you want to thank as the label, the people that you work with for the recording, your bandmates?
Well, there's actually a very big list, so I will do a little bit, but I think in the album credits, we have a full page of thank yous, and there's like 50 people. So there's a lot, too many to mention it. Obviously our families have supported us for a long time, and we're often very busy with the band, so they help us a lot. The label's fantastic. I think all the people in Melbourne who supported us when we started the band, the fans that were there when there was only 10 people in the shows, there's lots of people, but probably the label and our families and Troy McCosker and his family for recording the album would be the main people that come to mind. And also we've got this great group of roadies, friends. There's 4 guys that come with us when we travel to Europe or overseas, and they, are very good friends and loyal supporters of the band. So they've been amazing as well.
Okay, very great to hear. Steve, once again, I want to thank you very, very, very much for accepting this interview. And once again, I wish you all the best with this great new album, Coherence. And I wish you all the best with the band itself, BELAKOR. And I wish you all the best for all the plans that you guys have for this coming new 2022, for all the shows, the tours, festivals. And yes, I can't wait to see you guys back on the road.
It's going to be awesome. But yeah, we're excited, and I want to thank you because it's been a really cool interview, and yeah, great to talk to you.
Okay, yes, please say hello to all the rest of the band members for me.
I will.
Okay, and like I always say, Steve, metal on. Bye-bye.
Talk soon.